Hello and welcome to wonderful Georgia. We're in Atlanta, where it is cold Atlanta, and we're at KubeCon, Cloud Native Con, North America 2025, trying to stay warm, and we're about to warm up the set here with our first interview of the day and the first interview of this week. We're so honored to have some great guests on with us again today. So first off, Victor Williams, welcome on board. You're the infrastructure engineering consultant for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama. Welcome on board.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, you at least coming over from Alabama, maybe it was about the same temperature down there today.
It is, I got reported that it is 21.
Yep, oh wow. And then of course, welcome back, Venkat, I'm going to get this right, Ramakrishnan.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You did it.
Got it right this time. Who's the VP and GM of Portworx by Pure Storage. That's a tongue twister again. I'll get there.
We try to make it difficult for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun though. So, hey, you know, again, I think this is a lot of fun. But you got these plushies here. That
yeah.
What's up with the plushies?
All right. So this is our new mascot. Her name is Pixie.
Pixie.
Right? Yeah. So we're launching a remote client for Kubernetes today. It's called Pixie Client, Pixie, that lets you orchestrate data across all clouds. But more importantly, as Victor and I was joking about, that this is your VMware recovery therapy toy. You know, you're getting high VMware prices, you can leave that, come to Kubernetes virtualization and Portworx, and also, you know, hug our Pixie and feel a little better.
Well, I love it.
You want one?
Very, very cute.
You
yes,
want one?
We'll keep it. You know, I'm sure my daughter would love that. She's big into the plushy things. But I mean, Victor, kind of help us understand how this is helping you, because I think when you look at data management for Kubernetes and you look at all of what's going on with VMware and the Broadcom acquisition, people are making some serious choices, but I mean, VMware had some great stuff inside their data stores and stuff like that. What has brought you across to
It
this
has.
with
First of
Portworx?
all, thank you, Venkat. Thank you for having me on here. So, Blue Cross and Blue Shield. We're a healthcare company. We are the biggest dog in a small pond in Alabama. So, you know, we have taken this container journey very slowly. We're not like our bigger competitors and everything like that. We do everything with purpose and we do everything with conviction. So our partner Pure, first of all, our first partner was Red Hat. So we were a Rev customer. We didn't have a whole lot in the VMware space, but we did have some. Red Hat decided to sunset Rev. We moved into the Kubernetes space. At first I thought it was a bad thing because I loved Rev, but it was needed to move us forward into the Kubernetes container orchestration. So we migrated a lot of VMs with Red Hat's help, and we ran into some bumps with we are a Hitachi storage, that's our backend storage. Yep. Great partner, we love them, but as you know, this Kubernetes stuff moves fast, and not every vendor is up to the task to keep in cadence with Red Hat. Pure is. And they provided us with the Portworx CSI, and it has basically revolutionized and made our time to market, our container journey that much better.
Yeah. So Portworx Enterprise.
Portworx Enterprise, yes.
So what are some of the efficiencies that customers are seeing out of this? Because I mean, again, that to me, I get the simplification part. That totally makes sense. What are some of the other efficiencies they may see? Yeah,
I mean, first of all, you know, when customers like Victor and BCBS try to modernize from, you know, VMware to KubeVirt, right? I mean, VMware is a legacy hypervisor, and there's a lot of invested hardware. They've already made investments in other hardware in the past, right? But when you go from VMware to KubeVirt, you need a data storage and management layer that's natively integrated in Kubernetes, right? Because most of the CSI drivers aren't mature, they haven't kept up with the innovations in the Kubernetes space, and they're definitely pinning the customers to the hardware implementations. So what Portworx does, and which Pure has been a phenomenal acquirer of us, and that's our parent company, it's a infrastructure neutral data management layer integrated into Kubernetes, right? That means you could run Portworx on any third-party hardware, and you can make your data operations and storage management in Kubernetes smooth. But not just that, you could replicate that stack anywhere. You could like go to cloud and run the same stack with no modifications. And more importantly, what we have done in the past is that we have mapped the Kubernetes data management, the storage management, to what VMware was doing, or VM storage management. So like, storage vMotions, storage DRS, Portworx has capabilities that maps into that list, where a customer who's used to the VMware data workflows can easily do that without having to relearn a whole bunch of things for Kubernetes. Portworx simplifies that as well, right? And more importantly, Rob, we are actually announcing our newest innovation is called Kube Data Stores, right?
Yep.
Like,
So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so VM data stores, we're all familiar with VM data stores, right? VM data stores give you ability to have different kinds of data stores into ESX and vCenter, right? But there is no equivalent for Kubernetes and Kubernetes virtualization, right? So what we looked at it, and when we looked at it and saw, okay, this is something that's going to radically simplify customers' lives, about how they bring in different kinds of storage into Kubernetes virtualization and get capabilities like storage DRS, storage vMotion, failover of an entire data store from one server to another server without any application outage, right? Portworx helps deliver that with our Kube Data Store innovation. And this is the first of many generations of Kube Data Stores that we're going to release. The roadmap is going to continue to evolve. We're going to say, I would like to say, we're going to completely recreate what VMware did with vSAN and VMFS and VM data stores in Kubernetes with Kube Data Stores. And the customers are going to get a like-for-like functionality. And we're starting off with our KDS Kube Data Store Release 1.0 at this KubeCon.
Nice, and just coming back to you, Victor, because you mentioned all the CSI and compatibility issues and other stuff. What were you seeing as you went through this journey with CSI? Because you were talking about Hitachi and you were going to OpenShift Vert from Rev and things of that nature. How did this help you in that journey?
Well, we're primarily a VM shop, and when we decided to go along this journey, we knew we needed a place for our VMs, right? And that OpenShift Virtualization provided that. And we used the native Hitachi CSI driver. Like I said, unfortunately, it didn't keep up, right? The biggest part of it was, with VMs, storage is key. Storage, network, and OS, right? You don't have one of those three, you're done, right? So that they could not, unfortunately, keep up with the pace and the innovation that Red Hat introduced in OpenShift Virtualization. So, upgrading the operators, upgrading the environment, we need to stay ahead. We need to stay in cadence with Red Hat. Hitachi couldn't give that. Portworx Enterprise did. They solved several problems for us with container pod workloads starting up faster, right? Migration of VMs, way faster. Portworx Enterprise, second to none.
So you were able to help bring over the data into the new OpenShift environment.
Yes, sir.
To be able to bring up those, utilizing this.
Yes, sir.
And so that had to have saved time and toil for your team.
It does.
And
it
yourself.
does. So I'm in the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
We all know healthcare prices are going up.
Yeah.
Our charge at Blue Cross is to try to keep those prices low. So how do we do that? We do that, number one, Portworx Enterprise provided us hardware agnostic. So we don't have to buy new storage. We have Pure Storage. We love Pure Storage. But if we had to make that spend, then we would have to pass that on to our members, and we didn't want to do that. That's where that Portworx Enterprise product shined. We could use what we already had and still keep our costs low, keep our time to market low.
And are you seeing a lot of this across customers?
Absolutely, we have customers running Portworx on top of, in this case, Hitachi arrays. We are one of the largest automakers in the world. We're not allowed to say their name yet. Have migrated most of their factories off of VMware to Red Hat OpenShift Virtualization and Portworx. And there, it's a complete multi-vendor environment. They run on top of Pure Arrays. They have third-party SAN vendors like HP, NetApp, and Hitachi, and we run on top of them. and we're also running on top of Dell PowerFlex in the data centers, right? So, and more importantly, customers are trying to replicate the same stack in the cloud as well. There's managed OpenShift virtualization, managed OpenShift in the cloud. Yep. People who want to build a hybrid cloud pathway, they want to build their applications in the data center, but want to deploy it closer to their customers, have a hybrid cloud model, and building on Portworx not only gives them that abstraction in the data center, it also helps them abstract that in cloud. So they can go to any cloud of their choice where their customers are at. So yes, we see this a lot, and this is what we built Portworx for. Yeah. And it's a sweet spot use case. I'm glad to see the world is arriving where we kind of, our earlier vision was, vendor agnostic, infrastructure agnostic, data management layer with no lock-in, right? We're anti-lock-in. That means you're not even locked into Portworx. You can rip Portworx out, you still have access to all of your data, right? Yeah. And that is, we have still held true to that mission, and what we are now solving is what the world needs.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think when you start to look at it, again, everybody's in a different place on their journey. You mentioned the fact that you were kind of early on in the Kubernetes side, but you were very much in the VM side and things. How has that really evolved, and how has this helped from a learning curve perspective with
Well, you got to look at things in a much different scope with VMs. Traditional VMs, I remember before we had VMs, we were all rack and stacks and those monolithic, really hot data centers, right? Yeah. Then we made the switch to VM infrastructure. Now we're containers. The biggest thing about a container that I love, when you have an issue with a container, you put a bullet in it, spin it back up from the Docker file. And moving from that infrastructure to OpenShift virtualization, it is a lift. I want to say that to all my brothers and sisters in the VMware world. It's not without challenges, but it's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it. Like I said, I felt kind of some way about OpenShift virtualization when it came to fruition and we moved from Rev. But a year into it, it's been about a year, we're better for it. Yeah. We provide better service for our customers. We're better time to market, more resiliency, more security. We're all about security. Yeah. One of my closest co-workers said it doesn't have to work, but it has to be secure.
That's good.
And that's paramount in healthcare. And again, we could not have done that without Red Hat's partnership and Portworx Enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and it makes total sense to me. I mean, again, long-time storage guy, I've seen it throughout the decades, and I think, like you were saying, it's, hey, we get to a point. But one thing, Venkat, we were talking a little bit before, and we're starting to see things at scale that is just massive. How is this helping customers from a scalability perspective and to get a handle on all of that as well?
Yeah, we are seeing, while, our little Broadcom recovery toy here, right, therapy toy, has helped customers, Portworx is like that, right? We're helping with KubeVirt and Portworx. We're essentially helping them leave and migrate off of their VMware estate and then go to Kubernetes-based estate at scale, right? Now, there are different sets of scale challenges with Kubernetes. Look, scale is always a challenge, right? But it all depends on how do you architect it? Who are the partners you pick? And what are some of the technical considerations you need to have in place up front? And then automatically scale works, right? Portworx runs today one of the largest global payments platform in the world, which is another CUBE interview back in EMEA, right? So, we have customers that are running, large telcos are running Portworx at scale, right? So at scale, what Portworx does is that it absorbs all the operations at the Kubernetes control plane level, so the underlying arrays aren't that busy with all the CRUD operations that generally happens at scale, right? Where a VM is migrating off from one, or a set of VMs are failing over to one node to another node, or Kubernetes reschedules a whole bunch of pods, or there are more GitOps pipelines getting deployed every minute. So Portworx absorbs all of that load in the Kubernetes control plane layer, and then leaves the underlying storage layer less utilized in the sense that it optimizes utilization, so you get more efficiencies out of it, right? And that essentially is how we have solved the scale problem. And this is unique. You don't get it with CSI drivers, because CSI drivers will hit the arrays really hard, and will drive the utilization up. What Portworx does is it absorbs all of that, delivers better efficiencies on top of these arrays.
It's a nice plushie for all the operations. Yeah. So, Victor, last question, what's next? Where do you go from here with Portworx and Kubernetes and your environment as you, for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama?
So right now we're a year in, so most of our environment is in OpenShift virtualization. We just installed Portworx Enterprise in that environment. We're seeing great gains. For instance, VM migrations, which I say we're primarily VM shop right now. VM migrations under the old Hitachi CSI driver took a while. 10 times faster with Portworx Enterprise.
Wow.
And that number,
that's a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah. That's a real thing. We have 600 VMs. Imagine if you had some of the Metas, the Amazons that have thousands.
Yeah.
And it's 10 times faster.
Yeah.
So where I see us in a year, I see us more getting, not everything can be containerized, but the things that I'll say 90% of our stuff can, and I see us in a year, 50%. In another year, up to 80, and the sky's the limit.
Awesome. Well, hey, Venkat, Victor, this has been fantastic. Thank you for coming on board, and thank you for helping us kick off KubeCon here today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
Yep.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching this episode. We'll be back with more from KubeCon, Cloud Native Con, North America 2025, live from Cold Atlanta. See you soon.